Hi, I do exist. I just haven't been on here in quite a long time. Happy holidays. I have COVID, so that's what Santa gave me this year. I've been so good. I don't know what that bullshit's about. I've been wanting to upload for a long time, but it hasn't felt right to film and to actually do the thing of making the videos. I've wanted like things to post, but I haven't wanted to go through the whole process, and it just hasn't, I don't know. I feel like I had the worst fucking year of my life this year, and it all just kind of came crashing down on me at once. I had to take a little step away, and yeah, I'm still traversing it. I never miss a yearly wrap-up of reading, so I'm gonna go get my list, and then I'll come back and let's talk about my favorite books of 2023. They're propped on a bottle of whiskey. That feels right. Oh, I've made a sticky notes little list of the books. I haven't done a reading wrap-up in a long time, and I haven't really been reading that much, to be honest with you. But yeah, I took a look through I think I read 47 books this year. Like finished books, because I did DNF quite a lot of books this year. I just like couldn't get through things. I set up my goal at 60 books, which is what I think I reached last year. So I didn't reach that, but that makes a lot of sense to me. It was a wild one this year. Let's start at the beginning. I kind of went in chronological order just because of the list that I was looking at. So I think there's like 12 on here. These are the best books that I read this year. They're by no means published this year. They are just books that I read this year. The first book that I read in 2023 that I enjoyed immensely is A Horse at Night on Writing by Amina Kane. On Writing. That sounded like I said on writing, which we'll get to later. By Amina Kane, who I love. I've read everything she's written that I could find, and I just will continue to read anything that she writes. I hope she publishes something soon. We occasionally chat on Instagram, and I should ask her when that's happening. I'm waiting. A Horse at Night is, like it says, a book on writing, so it's beautiful Amina Kane prose about the act of writing and reading, and this is a book that refers to a lot of other books. So if you like that kind of thing, this will probably be for you. It was incredible, and I love it, and I think about it a lot, and it would be a great reread. I should do that. Next, we have The Body Artist by Dawn DeLillo. This book is a little short book about grief. It's about a woman who is a performance artist. She does kind of like extreme performance art, and she loses her partner, and there's like a presence in her home, like another kind of person that she finds in her own house. It is as strange as it sounds. That is a sort of ghostly presence. It kind of becomes a vessel for her to experience her grief through. Very interesting. My one and only Dawn DeLillo that I've read so far, and I thought that the style was so singular and so interesting. The way it plays with time, and like time warps in this book in a way that I haven't seen done before, that I haven't encountered before. So I thought that was really, really, really beautiful. Like I've said in the past, I would like to make this book into a movie. Yeah, it's so good. It's really, really great. Only book by a man on this list. Next, we have At the Bottom of the River by Jamaica Kincaid. This was a delight. This was so, so beautiful. This is a collection of short pieces by Jamaica Kincaid. I was given this by Rebecca from Rebecca Eats Books, who I've been roommates with for the last 2 months. Now I'm in New York at my aunt's house. But this was a book she gave me, like she tried to send me in the mail, and then eventually she delivered it to me on my wedding day when I got married in New York City. And we laughed and cried, and this book reached my hands that evening, and it just fell into my life at the most perfect time, and it was so beautiful. I love what Jamaica Kincaid does with form, and I love how she just like completely throws all rules out of the window. And when you listen to her in podcasts, she talks about that a lot. Like, she doesn't abide by rules of writing or literature, and she doesn't really care what that means. She just enjoys writing in the way that she enjoys it. And there are some pieces here that barely have any periods, like no punctuation. So beautiful, so poetic. If you like novels by poets, in the vein of like, yeah, I can think of a lot of examples, like, I don't know, Ava Baltazar, for example, then you would probably love these because they're very, very poetic. These like short stories, very touching, moving, a lot of like really beautiful imagery. I also got quite a lot of grief themes. Maybe it was just where I was when I was reading it, that everything was kind of like showing itself to me as grief, but it's really, really, really beautiful. Then we get to One of Two by Claire Louise Bennett. I read her for the first time this year, and I'm so happy. She's like a fully new favorite author for me. Checkout 19 was the one that I read first, and I think still sits at the top for me. I loved Checkout 19. Very, very difficult to describe what this book is about. We're following a main character as she is thinking her way through life, and there's something so specific about Claire Louise Bennett's writing that I can't describe to you. I've heard in podcasts before both like stream of consciousness as something that is described, that her writing is described as, but then also a lot of people saying that that feels like a kind of minimizing word. But it does have a very associative thinking kind of feeling to it. Like one thing leads to another, one thought leads to another thought. A lot of lists. I think that she writes lists super well. And the best thing about this book is how many other books are shoved into it. So you will leave reading Checkout 19 with like such a fascinating ride and a fascinating character in all that she is, and then also like this massive list of other books that you need to read after it. And I think that that's so amazing. It's like reading this book is like watching the best like roundup of the year videos where you just like write everything down. It's just, to me, it's so good. It's really, really up my street. And then we get to Eileen by Otessa Moshfegh. I have not seen the film. I've heard it's terrible. I'll still see it. I meant to see it in theaters when I got here. And then I snoozed on it, and then it went out of the local theater. So I'll have to just watch that, you know, on the computer at some point. Eileen is Otessa Moshfegh's first full novel. She had McGlue, the novella, which was before. And yeah, I hadn't read this one since until this year, and I read it like at the same time as a group of friends in Tel Aviv, and it was really fun to like talk about with each other. It's a great conversation piece, super dark. Yeah, I feel like Ohad and I were speaking about it. Ohad is my partner, if you're new here. We were speaking about how the book had like a funnier tone than like the film looks, at least from the previews. It looks like very heavy in the drama, suspense, almost like scary. And there's all of those things in the book, but it felt also like quite funny. So maybe that's why people are disappointed with the adaptation. Yeah, you're following a main character who's living in like a terribly dark, cold city, and she works in a prison, a men's prison, and she becomes obsessed with this other woman that starts working at the prison, and like everything just completely unravels. And like yeah, it's unhinged and, like, comes to dangerous conclusions. I like books about obsession, or with really obsessive characters, so that's a great one for that. I have one of my top books this year that I, like, think about the, I think I think about it the most. And it's Is Mother Dead by Vigdis Hjorth. I feel like you've heard me speak about all these books already. Maybe later in the list, I'll get to books that you haven't heard me speak about yet. But Is Mother Dead by Vigdis Hjorth. She's a Norwegian author. I don't remember the name of the translator. Is another obsessive character done in such a beautiful, poignant way that really made me cry. I like sobbed my eyes out reading this book on a train. It follows a Norwegian artist who has a really complicated relationship with her family, and she made a series of paintings called like Mother and I, or Mother and Me, or the Mother and Daughter, something like that, that like depicts motherhood in a very harsh way. And her own mother gets like incredibly offended by these paintings and kind of like just cuts her completely out of her life. And her sister is also lumped in that with her mother. So she's kind of like hasn't talked to her family in like decades. And now she's a middle-aged woman and she's having a retrospective done on her work in her hometown. So she ends up just thinking this book like is her coming back to her hometown and trying to understand who her mother is, since they have no relationship to each other, and if anything, like a very volatile one. And she is so obsessed with like finding out who her mother is now in old age, that she becomes obsessed with her. She starts stalking her. It's really fascinating. Like, I thought the way it's told, and it would be to me like the perfect piece of literary fiction that has like a thriller element to it, or like has a propulsion like a thriller has, but like so sophisticated, like the most sophisticated you could think of that I've read. And it's really beautiful, and like just the question of family and belonging, and like art, and who can be the subject of an art piece, when is that not ethical? It's super, super interesting, and it really touched me. Like, it was very, very beautiful. It like slapped me in the face in the end, and there are just some really, really beautiful sentences there. So I highly recommend Is Mother Dead. That's probably like, could be #1 on this list. Asylum Road by Olivia Sujic. This is a, I'm getting a lot of text, sorry. Very anxiety-inducing novel about a couple, and you have like probably one of the most anxious main characters ever. And I know that Olivia Sujic's book called Exposure is like, I think, a nonfiction essay collection about anxiety, if I'm not mistaken. So it's something that she deals with a lot in her work and in her life, I'm guessing. So we have a super anxious main character and this like very weird, moody relationship with this man. And this book is all about mood. Like, it's so tense. Like, there's an incredible tension on the page that I think is so hard to create in that like fully enveloping way, and Olivia Sujic does it really well. In a full grand plie here, down here. Every time I try to describe this book, it's really difficult for me. Basically, they're on a road trip, and like, you think the whole time like that they're gonna break up. There's like this tension between the two of them, and like none of them can do the right thing for each other, and you're like, okay, this relationship is over. And then like a weird turn of events we reach him proposing to her and her saying yes. So we're confused. And then in order for like this marriage to go through, she feels like she needs to take him back to where she's from. She's originally from Sarajevo. So this is a book about trauma, war trauma, trauma that passes through family line. And I think most of the book takes place in Croatia. I think in Dubrovnik. I think it's in Croatia that they're mostly in. Or Montenegro. No, I think it's Croatia. He goes with her to meet her family, that she has like a lot of anxiety around going back there, seeing her family, going back to this place that she basically like escaped from when she was really, really young due to the war. And everything just fucking spirals down. Like, it gets crazy, and it's one of the best, like, revenge, endings that, like, I've, ever read. It's so satisfying. So I could have put 2 Deborah Levy's on here, from her Living Autobiography series, but I went with the last one, which is Real Estate. I also loved The Cost of Living this year. I can put it as an honorable mention, but Real Estate was amazing. I have a vlog where I really extensively talk about real estate. I read it while I was on holiday in Greece, and yeah, it's the last one. Deborah Levy's talking about her current, at the time of writing it, her current place in life when her daughters have moved out of her home, and she has like questions about what is home, hence real estate. I have the hiccups. And like in very Deborah Levy style, it's like a little bit of a travel journal, a little bit or a lot of it talking about writing and craft and motherhood and just like belonging and place, as like a single woman in her 60s or something. Yeah, it was beautiful. It was amazing. I enjoyed it so much. I thought it was so good. Probably my favorite one of the 3. Next, we have The Dark Dark, stories by Samantha Hunt. I loved these stories. Short stories are hard for me. It's hard for me to find a collection that I feel as a whole works successfully. Like, or I'll get like really into a few of them and then I'll not go back, or like one is really great, the rest are fall flat. And I thought that all of these by Samantha Hunt were super fun and interesting, and like were the right balance of like super entertaining and really thoughtful and touching and deal with like very heavy or dark subjects. And there's almost an animal element. There's an animal element in almost every story, which I love. Like for example, a standout story is called Beast, which is about a married woman who is convinced at night she's turning into a deer, and she really tries. It starts off with her thinking that she has a deer tick that's bit her, and so she's asking her husband also to like search for a tick on her body, and then she's paranoid that she's like certain she's becoming a deer every single night in bed, and roaming, and she's like trying to figure out how to explain that to her husband, and that like being kind of a whole symbol for like adultery in her marriage and infidelity, rather. A story with a horse that deals with like grief of a father, very, very touching. And it's called The Dark Dark because almost every story refers to the dark, like what is in the dark, what is like in the dark outside of the home, why are we scared of the dark, what could be there, what unknown is in darkness. Next, Kick the Latch by Catherine Scanlon. I read this year. Small, tiny book. A lot of people spoke about this book already, I think last year. Beautiful, beautiful little book that I fucking cried my eyes out after on a dark plane ride. I read this book start to finish. Catherine Scanlon wrote Kick the Latch from a series of interviews she did with a professional horse trainer whose name is Sonia, I think. This is like a fictional biography that is based on real interviews with a real horse trainer. So I don't know what in the book is real stories of Sonia's life. I'm saying Sonia because I think that that's right. But if I'm wrong, then I'm really gonna regret that. So I don't know what's really from Sonia's life and what has been fictionalized by Catherine Scanlon, but whatever it is, the mix is really beautiful. You don't have to like or be interested in horses at all. I particularly am interested in horse riding. And I like a horse as an animal in general. But you don't have to like be interested in that to read a book about horse training. Because it's so much more about just the grit of human life and like, of course, the elements of horse riding and that whole industry and like the lives of those people that work in stables and like, and also what those animals get put through and how much cruelty is involved. Like, it's a hard book to read. There's a lot of like, I would call it a tragedy. But it's so good, so captivating. It's told in a series of like very short vignettes, which makes the reading experience quite like rapid. And you kind of just feel like you lived a whole life with this woman, and it broke me really in the end. It's like, wow, it's so strong. So I loved Kick the Latch this year. That's also really, really at the top of the list. Another Claire Louise Bennett, Pond, which I think Pond was published prior to Checkout 19, if I'm not mistaken, but I read them in the opposite order. Again, very hard to describe. Pond, it's just like vignettes of things by Claire Louise Bennett. Like, I really don't know how to describe it, but so interesting. Like, she writes about an orange and color and fabric and bathtubs and grocery shopping and land and like, I really can't describe it. Like, I think her work is considered fiction, but I don't really read it like it's one narrator or like one character necessarily. I just feel like it's sort of a collection of Claire Louise Bennett's really fascinating, fucking hilarious writing. Like, super, super big brain energy. Like, Pond is not something... Checkout 19 for me was a bit easier. Pond took me time, like a few weeks to read, and I couldn't read it like in any state. I had to like really be on it. But like really big brain energy with something, with like dry, fucking very funny, very, very funny and like cutting, sharp. She also takes like no prisoners as well. Oh my God, she's just great. Like, I want to sit at dinner with Claire Louise Bennett and just like take her in because she's just super, super smart and funny. Yeah, so Pond was also like mind-bogglingly good to me this year. And the last book that I'll mention is a book of prose by Mary Ruefle called The Most of It. I found this by accident. I was on an art residency in Michigan recently, researching for a new performance work with a group of incredible artists and friends and family now. And I found this book on the bookshelf in the workspace. My friend that owns that space has incredible reading taste. Like, I should have just filmed her bookshelves in there and like posted it on here for like a big list of recs, because she has like incredible taste. She would be like exactly the kind of person that I would want to watch on BookTube, for example. So every day we were all like sampling from the library, and I ran into this prose book by Mary Ruefle, and we used it for text that week, and just like incredible writing in that book. So it's truly like definitely in the top 3 this year for me, and that was just like a on the whim discovery. Published by Wave Books, and we went to Chicago as a group after we finished in Michigan, and Emma, one of the performers, found it in the bookstore and bought it. So I know that it's out there. Really special, beautiful. Mary Ruefle's a genius, and it's like very, yeah, just a series of prose pieces by her. Absolutely incredible. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you for watching and being patient that I haven't been on here in a while. I have really missed being here. Just, yeah, there's no reason to force it, I guess, when it's not feeling right. But I hope that you all had a wonderful year, and if you didn't, like me, we have a new one starting. So yeah, okay, that's all I have to say before I get like soppy and emotional. Love from me, and stay safe on New Year's if you're doing any craziness, and let me know what you read this year that you loved. Leave it downstairs in the comments, and I will get it from the library. Bye.